Alrighty guys, welcome back to another one. This time we're going to do a breakdown on Federal's 20 gauge 2 3/4 inch load of number 3 buck, which is 25 caliber. Rated at 1200 FPS, this is 20 pellets. And just because, why not? Today I'm using this General Macmyra. It is a whiskey flavored Swedish snus. It's actually really good. Sipping on Coke Zero. Goes pretty good together, honestly. I have this in the portion version and the loose. If you've never tried snus, it's really, really good. A lot better than dip. But yeah, whiskey and Coke, classic combo together. They don't sell it here in America. But anyway, here's a better view of the box, the front of it. Classic Federal Power Shock. If the wind's kicking up, I apologize if you can hear it on camera. But there's our specs, done read them off. The back of the box is just a bunch of warnings. Nothing interesting there. Other side of the box. And here's our buckshot size chart. You can see number 3 is 25 cal, but we done know that their double lot they used in their Power Shock 12 gauge is not 33 cal, they were using 31.5. Let's see if these actually are 25 cal. So here's what the shell looks like. Classic Federal shell here. This is one they actually make, not a Rio haul, but we have a Federal 209A primer, high brass, which is actually, again, brass-plated steel. We have a 6-point crimp on it. Not a bad crimp at all. Looks pretty good to me. And we do have a taper. Love seeing that. You can see our pellets through the hull a little bit. Supposed to be 20 pellets. Looks like we do have buffer in there too. This is actually a fairly heavy load for 2 3/4 inch 20 gauge. It looks like our wad column ends right here at my thumb. The rest of it is pellets and buffer. I'm going to use the same method I always use to open these up. Needle nose pliers to pry the crimp, and dump the shot and buffer out, and wire cutters to flare out the crimp so we can pull out the whatever kind of wad's in here. So we have a total payload of right at 1 1/8 ounces, which again is kind of heavy for 2 3/4 inch 20 gauge. Here's what our pellets look like. They are nice and round. I believe these are swaged buckshot pellets. Not really sure, but they look good to me. And I still can't find my little strainer that I use to separate shot and buffer, but that is the payload including the buffer. And look at that, guys. 25 cal right on the dot. Love to see that. Nice Federal. Usually you don't see exact sizes out of factory ammo. That's awesome. Here's a better view of the pellets. We do have 20 and quite a bit of buffer in there, which is a good thing. Federal's buffer is actually pretty nice stuff. And it looks like we have 24.2 for a while. Yeah, there you go. 24.2 grains of whatever this powder may be. You don't really see stuff like that in shot shells too often, at least not for reloaders, but it looks sort of similar to what came out of Remington's hypersonic steel 10 gauge shell. Odd. So when I said looks like the hypersonic steel powder from 10 gauge, I meant exactly like it. You can see this is a blended powder. We have yellow flakes and black chunks. I have no idea what this would be, not even remotely close. So, let's play the game of fiber or paper base wad. I don't know yet, I have not looked inside of it, but let's see. Focus. We have a plastic base wad, guys. Low plastic base wad. Now, that is not typical. Usually when I open up Federal shells, buckshot and stuff like that, kill shot, we usually end up seeing a paper base wad. This one is plastic with a blue primer, just like what we've seen in the 16 gauge slug from Federal. Not sure if this is actually a 209A primer or not. And here's our plastic gas seal and the only sort of cushion wad, if you want to call it that, in the shell. The gas seal is 1/4 of an inch. I did have to pull it out with a screw. That thing was in there very, very tight, which is a good thing. That really is going to prevent powder migration and gas blow by. Excellent seal there. And we have a 1/16 inch nitro card. That's it. That is the only form of wad in that shell, is the plastic gas seal and nitro card. That's it. No cushion at all, which we've seen in Federal's 3-inch, what do they call it? Power Shock 15 pellet double aught. sort of like that, only we didn't even have a nitro card in that one. It was just an X12X gas seal and a shot cup. That's it. So for this one, I won't be putting it back together. I'm going to open the rest up and get all the number 3 buck out of them to use in my 32 gauge. My 32 gauge has a bore diameter of 0.526. It's not the biggest size you can use in 32 gauge. That would be 26 cal, but I don't have access to any of that. I'd have to get a mold. But 25 cal, we can use it. Should stack by 2s just fine. Maybe even be able to use a Mylar wrap. But yeah, I'm going to put the rest of these in 32 gauge, the buckshot anyway. And that's going to be this one here, guys. The end of it anyway. Federals 2 3/4 inch, 20 gauge, number 3 buck. Pretty interesting video. Learned quite a bit about how they throw together their 20 gauge buckshot. Pretty interesting. But we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.